But first, breaking news, the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office firing a deputy for his inappropriate contact with two adult dancers. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Wendy Ryan.
And I'm Jameson Euler. He met those women while arresting one of them. Our Clifton French just spoke to the sheriff, and Clifton, a big part of this investigation had to do with the deputy's cell phone.
Yeah, his sheriff's office issued a cell phone that he was using to have inappropriate conversations with one of these young women. Now, I want to show you a picture of this deputy. His name is Brian Britt. The sheriff says this all started late last year when he went to pick up a woman wanted on a warrant. Now, that woman, her name is Denasia Scott. She's a dancer at a local gentleman's club. While he was arresting her, he also met one of her friends. Now, he was very friendly with Scott. He even took her handcuffs off while waiting for a prisoner transport van. He then called and texted her when she got out of jail and eventually offered Scott and her friend money to come over to his house while his daughter was asleep, essentially soliciting sex.
Oh, there's no doubt. Absolutely, that's what he's trying to do. Who pays somebody $100 for conversation to drive from South St. Pete to Pasco County when he had 12 shots of tequila?
Now, we found out that this isn't the first time that this deputy has been in trouble or disciplined with the sheriff's office for being inappropriate. He was disciplined for looking at porn on a sheriff's office computer, and he was also suspended for flirting with a juror while he was working as a bailiff in court. I'm reporting live in Pinellas County tonight. Clifton French, ABC Action News.
Sum it up, sometimes people do stupid stuff, and this is one of those times where a deputy did something that is beyond stupid. What's up, Josh? How are you? Good. So, I'll just run through it and then answer your questions. Sum it up, sometimes people do stupid stuff, and this is one of those times where a deputy did something that is beyond stupid. Unfortunately, here to talk about the termination today of Deputy Brian Britt. And I'm going to run through for you what happened as a result of an internal affairs investigation. How we became aware of it was a few months ago. One of the females who was involved with this, Donna Jakisha Scott, was involved with law enforcement at a different call, a totally different situation. And she made a corporal aware of her interactions with Deputy Britt. That corporal did the right thing and reported it to his sergeant, and it was reported up and referred to internal affairs. So we became aware of this a few months ago when Scott made one of our corporals aware of her contact with Deputy Britt. So as a result of the internal affairs investigation, what we know is that on December 31st, 2016, Deputy Britt, who was working in Oldsmar as a patrol deputy, was dispatched to a residence that Scott lived at in Oldsmar. He was sent there because we received a teletype from the St. Petersburg Police Department that they had probable cause to arrest Scott on a charge of domestic battery. When Deputy Britt went to the residence, Scott came and answered the door, and she was dressed only in a towel. And she had to go back into the residence to obtain her identification so that she could be positively identified as the suspect that Deputy Britt was looking for. So she did that, and Deputy Britt followed her back in, and when Scott was inside the residence, she went to the bathroom, and there was another female by the name of Tiana Williams who was also in the bathroom, and it appeared that Williams and Scott were showering together. Britt saw Williams as she was naked in the shower. After identifying Scott through her identification, he arrested her, handcuffed her, and took her from the residence into a secondary location awaiting the prisoner transportation van. He took her to Canal Park, which is a city park in Oldsmar that was near the residence where he had arrested her. When they get to the park, Deputy Britt removed her handcuffs and engaged her in conversation. And it was flirtatious conversation. It was talking about his financial status, talking about where he lived, was inquiring of her what she did. And Scott worked at a adult entertainment establishment, a topless bar. She was a dancer. There was also some discussion about the friend who he had just seen naked in the shower and where she worked and whether she also was a topless dancer, and Scott affirmed or confirmed that she was. After the discussions, flirtatious discussions and conversation about where they worked and Britt's personal life and where he lived, a lot of things that were inappropriate in that discussion, she was transported to the Pinellas County Jail. When Scott got to the jail, she made a phone call. And the phone call that Scott made was to Williams, who is the girl that was in the shower that Britt saw naked in the shower. And that phone call was recorded. And what Scott said to Williams was, you know that the officer that came in there, the older one, how about he was trying to flirt? He took me out of my handcuffs. Tell your homegirl, who would be Williams, again, I'm sorry for seeing her. I mean, I'm sorry for opening the bathroom and looking at her. I didn't mean to, and it was like, what club do you work at? And I'm like, at Foreplay Gentlemen's Club. He's like, where's that located? I'm gonna have to come check you out. My girlfriend's been wanting to come to a strip club. He's like, does she work there too? I said, yeah, come see us. So Scott spent the next day in jail, and after she went to first appearance the following day, she was released. And upon her release from jail, Deputy Britt used his Pinellas County Sheriff's Office cell phone to call Scott on her phone. And they had a discussion about her release from jail, and Britt was asked about why he called, and he said because he cared about Scott's feelings and that he genuinely felt that in some way she was probably arrested for something that didn't occur, and he felt bad for her and sympathetic to her situation. While Britt was talking to Scott, Williams called in on Scott's phone, so he was terminated in the call, and they didn't have any further communication that day. But during the next 7 to 10 days, there were numerous text messages exchanged between Scott and Deputy Britt, talking about marital status, talking about personal life, flirtatious type discussion, including Deputy Britt sending a photograph via text message of himself dressed as the Hulk to Scott. As these text messages went on for 7 to 10 days, Britt got to a point where he asked Scott to come to his house. So you got a deputy sheriff who arrested a woman who's been arrested, I don't know, 15, 17 times previously, has a pretty extensive criminal history, to come to your house after you've had these exchange of text messages with her for 7 to 10 days. And while they're exchanging the text messages, Scott tells Britt that she's with Williams, who's the girl he saw naked in the shower. And so what Britt told Scott was, she's hot too, bring her, quote unquote. Britt said that they should come to his house for, quote, conversation, and that he would pay them $100 each for this conversation to drive from South St. Petersburg to his house up in Pasco County. So the two girls, for this conversation they were going to be paid for $100, drove to his house in Pasco County. He let them in, and when they go into the house is dimly lit. There's candles on, and they engaged in some conversation, and the conversation was about the girls providing fetish services for money, and that Scott did this to clients and considered Britt a client. At one point, they sat on the couch in Britt's house, and Britt began to rub Scott's leg. She didn't like that because she agreed to be paid $100 for a conversation, and this was a little bit more than the conversation that what she wanted, so they got into an argument about it. And after the argument, they went out into the garage area, and he took gas from a gas can, put it in their car to compensate them for the drive from South St. Petersburg, because the $100 wasn't going to cover what he had in mind, and what he had in mind would have cost more. So after they left, he sent a text message to Scott apologizing. And he also testified during the internal affairs investigation that he had Scott and her hot friend come to his house because he was drinking, because he was depressed, and because he wanted interaction. He admitted that when they got to his house that day, he had consumed 12 shots of tequila, and that they were also impaired. Now, probably one of the whole thing is egregious and shows his lack of character, lack of morals, lack of everything you can expect in a deputy sheriff. But while he had this woman in his house who he had arrested, who he's paying $100 to come there with her friend for this conversation, where he had 12 shots of tequila and he's on the couch rubbing her leg, his 11-year-old daughter was in the bedroom asleep. I don't even know what else to say about that, other than to use his words, because he testified during the administrative investigation. In conclusion, he stated, "I'm an idiot." Well, I agree, he is an idiot for doing this, and doing this with his 11-year-old daughter in the house. So he was terminated this morning. He's no longer a deputy sheriff. He's forfeited that privilege, as should be the case. Britt started here in 2000 as a detention deputy. He transferred to patrol as a law enforcement deputy in 2005. He transferred to the courthouse and court security in 2008. And then back to patrol later in 2008. His prior discipline, back in 2006, he was disciplined for accessing pornography on a sheriff's office computer. And in 2008, while he was in court security, he was disciplined for, there was an attractive female juror, and Britt is a bodybuilder, and he has big chest muscles, and he was flexing his chest muscles at this attractive female juror back in 2008, which many of you reported on that when it happened back in 2008. He hasn't had any discipline since 2008. There's a few complaints of things, but nothing that was substantiated, and certainly nothing that was serious. So that's the situation, and like I said, he was terminated today and no longer works here.
Immediately following the arrest, he was taking this suspect to a park. Right. What was the explanation on why taking to the park? Is that standard procedure?
Taking him to a secondary location. So when she was arrested out of the house, the deputies don't transport their arrestees themselves to the jail. We have a prisoner transportation unit in the vans, and they come pick them up. So they try and meet at central locations so that they can have several deputies meet there. So that was normal, standard, to take him for the house, to do the paperwork at a place. He just chose the park as a place to meet the prisoner transportation unit. Nothing out of the ordinary with that. Scott now is in jail again. She is in the Pinellas County Jail right now. Tanya Williams is not in jail as far as we know. But she's got a pretty extensive, very extensive criminal history.
What was the motive in your mind of this young lady alerting the supervising deputy, I don't know, corporal, about these, this previous exploitation?
It's hard to tell. I mean, she was just talking about it, and she brought it to his attention, and he, of course, did the right thing, and he was alert to what she was saying and realized that it didn't appear right and that he needed to take action and needed to report it. So You know, why she would have, you know, brought that up and why she didn't keep it to herself, I don't know. Maybe she felt slighted because she, you know, drove all the way without the $100. I don't know.
This was more a conversation and not something where she was feeling like she was being harassed in your mind?
Yeah, correct. Correct, yeah.
Was this during an arrest when she brought this up? Or?
No, it was something the deputy was investigating, and she was happened to be there at the call, I believe, is what it was. She wasn't being arrested again at that point. So it was just something where she had contact with the deputy, and the deputy communicated with her. She said enough that piqued his interest and knowing that he needed to report it and do something with it. And so all it was a catalyst to get it into the system so we could conduct this investigation.
Could he be arrested for soliciting a prostitute?
You know, if that was the case, you know, if he's not going to be, it happened in Pasco County, it didn't happen in Pinellas County, so it's not something. And you know, with this, you know, his termination's enough, and you know, that's a misdemeanor. It'd probably be a tough case to prove anyway, to be honest with you, given all the circumstances of this. And Scott and Williams, marginally cooperative through this. They're not exactly fans of cops, so they were not probably some of the best and easiest people to deal with during the investigation. So I don't think it would go anywhere.
Do you believe that I mean, you do believe that that's what he was trying to do?
Oh, there's no doubt. Absolutely, that's what he's trying to do. Who pays somebody $100 for conversation to drive from South St. Pete to Pasco County when he had 12 shots of tequila and say the purpose of them coming there is because you wanted interaction, and then you're sitting there rubbing her on her thigh, and she admits that she gets paid for doing fetishes, and she cleans people's houses naked, and all these other things that she admitted to. No doubt, it's 100% that's what it was. And he had already seen, and then he was all intrigued because they worked in topless bars, adult establishments, if you will, and that's absolutely, there's absolutely no question about it, none.
Had he been to foreplay to see them perform, I guess?
No, first time he met them was at the house in Oldsmar when he went to arrest Scott, and then the other girl, and you know, probably, you know, he was somewhat intrigued, I'm guessing, you know, that they were showering together. That probably started it. And then from there, he thought that Williams was, quote, hot, according to him, and having the conversation with Scott. And then the next day is that she gets out of jail, and he's immediately calling and starts this interaction and starts the exchange of texts, and then has his 12 shots of tequila and brings both of them to his house. I don't even know where to begin with that as far as astonishment about a deputy sheriff, a cop, somebody you arrest, you're giving them your home address to come to your house for interaction, and you're going to pay them $100 with your 11-year-old daughter sleeping in the back bedroom. You know, as they say, you can't make it up. You truly can't make this one up. So.
Obviously, the totality is bad, but I mean, is he crossing the line even when he first starts texting them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would that be an issue as well?
Where he crossed the line at first, where he crossed the line is that when he has her at Canal Park, is he takes the handcuffs off. Why would he take the handcuffs off? He's trying to befriend her. He's trying to flirt with her. He's engaging in inappropriate conversation. Even at the park, he's telling her about his financial situation, that he lives up at Holiday, talking about marital situations. So he crossed the line immediately when he first communicated with her and was trying to befriend her by treating her differently than any cop is going to treat anybody else they arrested. There's no reason to take those handcuffs off of her. Then there's no reason to have a conversation about where you live, about your family situation, about your financial situation, about where she works, and talking about her friend, and does your friend, who I just saw naked, does she work there too? So he started it right from the very beginning of being inappropriate in his communications with her.
In your mind, though, when did this become a fireable offense? Was it when she finally shows up at the house, or he invites her up to the house, or what point, what got him fired, or is it just the totality of everything?
Well, I'd say it's absolutely, and I don't think it's probably productive for me to go through the timeline and say, well, if it had stopped here, I may not have fired it. If it stopped here, I mean, because I don't have those facts in front of me. I mean, the facts are the totality of it, and based on the totality of it, it's absolutely firing, no question about it. And if it had just been the conversation at the park, you know, we could have that hypothetical, but those aren't the facts that we're faced with, and those aren't the facts that I had to make a decision on. So probably not worth going there.
Did Command video capture their interaction inside the cruiser?
No. And it wouldn't.
What was she being arrested for, and is it consistent with the rest of her record?
Yeah, she was being arrested for domestic battery. It was a arrest that we had been asked to make by the St. Petersburg Police Department. And her criminal history is everything from drugs to resisting arrest to trespass to tampering with evidence to driving with suspended driver's license to burglary, reckless driving. No. Battery on a person over 65, retail theft, go on and on and on. She got a very extensive criminal history.
You would have known her history.
He had access to it. But even really then, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether she had a criminal history or not. But she does, and a very extensive one at that.
Sure, you were really upset about the 11-year-old daughter. Did DCF, are they going to play a role in this at all?
He's divorced, and apparently she has visitation. And the daughter lives with the mom, so the daughter doesn't live with him.
He's 45?
45, yes. 45 years old, yeah. All right, thanks, everybody. Yeah, so I'm going to, so it's Tanya, T-I-A-N-A Williams, common spelling on Williams, Tiana Williams. And on Scott, so her last name is common spelling is Scott, S-C-O-T-T. And the first is D-A-N-E apostrophe J-A-H, Donna J, and then it's Keisha, K-E-I-S-H-A. Like I said, she's in the Pinellas County Jail right now.
Need a car? Don't forget to stop by carmarshal.com where you can scout through over 100,000 new and used car vehicles. Take a look around. Get you a new affordable car. carmarshal.com.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County COPWATCH, and I found that I had to make a change this ending on my videos, letting you know about the channel and fair use laws, you know, how we can report on other people's reporting and how it's good, how it's bad, etc. But you guys can look it up yourself. It is legal. It's in there. But like I've told you before, that I've been cut off from making money on YouTube for 4 years. It's really weird, bizarre, but they cut the money off, but they said you can keep the channel, and now YouTube makes all the money. And if you get bored, plug it into Social Blade website, and you'll see that they are making a huge amount off the site. Right now it's at 63 million views, 53,000 subscribers, almost 3 million views a month. You know, trying to wake people up, and I make nothing. In fact, I got a customer that's ex-congressman. He said if I could ever find a lawyer, sue YouTube on it. But because this is nuts, 4 hours a day, and to save America, you know. But at the same time, it's worth it. Look at what our founding fathers did. They died for this country. So, but getting back to the money part, this is why I'm redoing the video. Is my dream of everyone giving $1, and it's going to be $53,000 a year, or if they did Patreon, which you know, can be monthly. That is not working. That'd be great if it did. Nothing is perfect. And I appreciate the people that do donate, you know, what they can on PayPal. And there again, I'm letting you guys know that is not much. Is, you know, monthly is, oh my god. So anyways, yes, you cannot live on it. It's very, very, very low amount. But the dollar things, I do appreciate that. But when I first said everybody give $1, that's not working. I'm just letting you guys know it's, yeah, that's that dream. Everybody gives $1. 53,000 subscribers, it's not working. So, yes, if you can give more than that, you know, I appreciate it. Like I said, you know, I'm in a unique situation where, you know, what we're already debt free, and I'm not rich, but with the little business that we have, I am able to do what I am able to do 45 hours a day, you know, letting you guys know what's going on. In 4 years, I've did the whole thing myself, 12,000 videos on there. I literally get emails where people are like, holy crap, I never knew it was this bad. And it is this bad, and it's getting worse every day because we have the internet, we have cell phones, we have cameras everywhere now, and it's just disgusting what's going on. And then, as you guys know too, now we got Trump, we got Jeff Sessions doing a war on drugs, and now he wants to go after the forfeiture laws again. It's just unfreaking real. So, if you can give more than that, that dream of everybody giving $1, yeah, that old video, that's not working. They're not. They're just not. So, anyways, if you can give more than that, that dream is not working. Hardly anybody is giving. There you go. So that's why I'm remaking the video. If you can give more than that, that would be great. And there again, like I said, the Patreon's there. There is some people on there that are starting to give, but there again, it's very, very low. And like I said, I don't want to get rich off of that. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because, you know, it's still so stinking corrupt. It's not even funny. My court case that I'm going to be paying out of my pocket myself with Charlotte County's coming up. They illegally looked me up and then posted all my information on LEOAFFAIRS website. They basically doxed me, however you want to say that. I forget what the word is, and they outed me, man. And that information on that site went out to 500 sheriffs, deputies, people that work at the jail, etc., etc., etc. So, yeah, it is very, very scary, but we're going to do a federal case, 1983 case, violating freedom of speech. We have 17 cameras in the house now. We got 2 cameras in the car. I always carry a camera plus a cell phone. A lot of people are highly recommending I get a vest now. If I could, if the wife would let me, I would run for sheriff. We are trying to push the thing nationwide right now. Where just to mix it up and to get the topics out there is register to run for sheriff, NPA, no party affiliation, as a write-in, and that is completely free, and you can participate in the elections. And there's a lot of stuff. We got a guy, James McLinnis in Pinellas County, Tampa, who almost won. He experienced the corruption himself. The story is unbelievable. Look him up. It's mind-blowing what they did. It pissed him off. He is very, very smart. He has way more money than I did. He ran for sheriff at the last 3 months last year in 2016 and almost won. He got all of the black vote. And the reason why he did that is because he ran on, I will not bust, we're in Florida, I will not bust anybody for weed anymore unless it's an ungodly huge amount, like pounds. And then he also ran on no more victimless crimes, no more of this freaking road pirate bull crap. And then he was going to cut the budget by 30%. And when you think about that, you can. If you stop the road pirates, you can get rid of a bunch of people. Gone. So, the wife has been saying, yes, I can, yes, I can't. So I don't know. We're trying to find somebody that can do it because I am busy doing this anyways. But, so I'm making a video, like I said, that $1 a month from everybody, you know, for 53,000 subscribers, that is not working. I'm just letting you guys know. Absolutely give way more than $1 a month. If you can, I appreciate anything. By the way, remember too, when you give that, PayPal takes like freaking 15 to 20%, so it's even worse than that. But, and there again, like I'm letting you guys know, it's way, what I get is very, very low. Appreciate it, but it is very, very low. Can't live on it. I'm just, you know, I'm working, and that's what I'm working on. And that court case is going to cost a buttload of money. That's federal court. Just the filing fees and the depositions that we're going to be doing with this corrupt cop. So there's another reason to give. We are going to be doing a deposition with this very corrupt. He was in a drug squad. He is a bad guy. He's on steroids. We heard steroids are rampant here. That's why their attitude is so bad. And we are going to get him on video, and it will be on YouTube. So That case alone is $5,000 just to bring it to court, and that's my money out of my pocket. So there's another reason to give, and give way more than $1 if you can. So keep that in mind. This is the new video, and I see, God, I talk a lot. It's already 7 minutes, but had to make it just to let you know the $1 a month from everybody is not working. They're not doing it. So if you can give more than that, please. So thanks. Keep it up. Share, like, subscribe, tell your friends, send me your videos on corruption, and I'll post it.